Sorry about that. I clicked it and it did not, it didn't turn on. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Okay. All right. So I was, I was saying that this ping pong trading continues of top of the range, bottom of the range, back and forth. You can see the futures here. Since the Thanksgiving holiday, it's back and forth. Topping tail. Oh, I think we're going to go down. Oh, bottoming tail. Maybe up. Breakout. We're going to go up. 180 down. Oh, we'll go down. And topping tail. Oh, here we go. Oh, no, 180 back up again, and just ping pong and back and forth, back and forth. And we got this whipsaw on those economic numbers, jobs, whatever. Wasn't anything of significance really. We got this Michigan consumer sentiment and 5-year expectations of inflation coming out at 10 o'clock. That might be a moving, yeah, Robert, call it what you want. It's sideways, whippy triangle, sure. When we look at this, we just view it as indecision. It's just indecision. Now it is at resistance, but it's extended. So when something starts a move, let's say from down here, it starts a move and starts going sideways, it's a higher probability of what we call absorbing supply or bullish price action. Whereas it gets an extended move into resistance and you get that sideways price action, it's a higher probability that it would break down. Now, that's just probabilities. One of the things we spoke about yesterday in the room, we're looking at the S&P and it's like, okay, well, and this is touching my little alert there, was, hey, sometimes these sideways corrections in an upward move like that continue after going sideways and they reach the 20 MA. And I said, look, the 20 MA, that's subjective. Why not the 10 MA or some other 13 MA or the 13 or the 21 exponential MA? Well, it's just something that we've used over all the years. It's been a pretty good guide, right? Still subjective. Anyway, you can see it's going sideways and the 20 MA is starting to catch up because of the sideways price action. But, like the weekly having run up like that, narrow bodied bars, a break of a prior bar's low, which would be the bottom of that base, would set up a pullback. Now, after a move like that, we would think, well, buy the pullback because, I think we covered this in this week's MT Live or the last one about the potency of candlesticks. I think it was this last week, and how prices run up and how momentum slows down. And this is not a potent reversal. It didn't gap up. Now it's the futures, and less likely they're going to be a gap up, but it didn't gap up. It's not a wide range bar. So if it breaks the low, a V kind of a top and a pullback, well, will it be a shallow pullback? So if it's a very shallow pullback where traders are aggressive, there's a higher probability of an M top. Whereas say it pulls all the way back to this minor support. Now that 20 MA on here is the equivalent to the 100 MA on the daily time frame, but say it pulls back into this area in between here. Well, that would leave some pretty good distance back up here for a trade. So, we'll see how that sets up. Okay, so let's take a look at the spiders, which you can see just whipped around. They're in the middle of the trading range. No big deal. Down bar, up bar breakout, topping tail, big red bar, inside bar yesterday, and going nowhere today. So same thing on the weekly time frame. I got my alert under this weekly bar there. See if it breaks at some point or not. The 20 MA has not caught up. There's unfilled gaps below. I'm doing nothing here. All right, sideways. SPX today. I'll take a look. And Let's see what we got. Really? That's interesting. Let me go back to SPX here. If that's right, that's going to be a no-brainer. I don't know why. I have to check to make sure I'm on today's zero. And it is on zero. Some little, probably the whipsaw, but they're bidding that up. And it's like, really? You think that's going to go up there today where there's premium 46.20, 75 by 85, and it's trading here? I suppose that's within striking distance of yesterday's close. But with this whipsaw and what's going on, I don't think so. It certainly could be wrong. I'm not wrong too often with these things. Down below 45.30. So not too far from where things are, and that's the way it's been. I was kind of surprised to see that above that far above 4,600. And just looking at big open interest expiring a little further out. 7 days. Interesting. The biggest 7 days out is 44.50 and 4,400. Some at 4,500. Anyway, it's just ping pong in here, pin there. So the thing to do is, as it moves up, as I've been saying this week, as it moves up toward resistance, check the premiums up above, see if you get a little bit more, and vice versa. Well, this pattern, Robert, tells you sit on your hands as far as the markets go. Um, you know, and there haven't been many stocks that have been moving lately either. But remember earlier in the week, I said when this breath comes down here to 100, not 100, the zero line, historically, that is where things begin to move, and, after a move up like that. But this has been an extraordinary move in a very short period of time. So, this historical guideline, especially with the weekly like that, I'm a little not so inclined to go with. And I don't really have any price action to support that anyway. But this is a pretty good guideline, like here, right? Where, you had the strong move up. And I've talked about this, how it makes a strong move after in a couple of days, and then it pulls back to the area of the zero line. Actually, I'm looking at this red line. It's not down here. So if this was to pull back, maybe it gets to zero. And so it tends to be a pretty good guide, where breath comes back towards zero after an initial move. Sentiment is still, at an extreme. So we just don't have a high probability scenario as far as the market goes for swings. AVGO, I mentioned in the room yesterday as a really nice setup, but it had earnings after the bell. I don't know, and it's not doing anything, surprisingly. But that was a nice 180 reversal at the 50. The angle coming down was a little sharp, but not terrible. But it might be able to advance toward the 20 if this market might be able to get something going. Let me look at the other markets. So I hand it over to Dan. The Qs, middle of the range, doing nothing. You can see the hourly chart chopping back and forth. So just opposing pivots is one way. There's different ways, right, of us recognizing what's going on. Well, opposing pivot highs and pivot lows is one way of recognizing indecision. And no one has control, just back and forth, back and forth. And unless you're going to try and trade this intraday at the extremes, accompanied with some type of reversal, potent reversal, shock patterns, what have you, for scalps, you should just stay away from it. Just stay away from this. It's directionless. Transports pulling back, minor support. Maybe you can get going. So we continue to watch, but a pattern like this, which is attractive, just continue to move up, and the other markets are not aligned with that, makes it questionable. However, IWM continues to shape up and it's holding up here. It gapped, well, it moved up on the news and it tested this topping tail bar. So that's still going nowhere, but it's consolidating after a strong move up. So that's a positive, and the transports looking good. So those could be the catch-up trades that we've talked about. KRE, regionals, big influence on IWM. That's been strong. Topping tail, no follow through as of right now. Little extended. It's at resistance. Not ideal. Biotech, back here we're talking about bringing up the rear stuff. Well, they brought up the rear and they're at resistance. So no matter where we look, there's just nothing that says, hey, these are high probability setups. Actually, some of them are just like no setups. There's nothing, which could be frustrating, but there's nothing there to act on. Interest rates, I've been talking about for weeks, pulling back to support. When it gets to support, it begins to stabilize. If it starts moving up, it's going to be a negative influence on the market. And you can see it's at support and it's beginning to make a turn, which supports next week the markets breaking below last week's low, and having a pullback. I'll keep that in mind. In addition, we have oil, which had this big drop. It's into support. It's beginning to stabilize. It begins to turn up. It's going to be a negative influence. The dollar, for whatever reason, it's been strong. And even at this pivot high, it had a whip down yesterday, and now this morning it's up. And, this already moving up. And if interest rates start to move up and oil starts to move up, the market is going to have a problem. Now, measure that problem. It's not going to be something awful, terrible, but, in the short term, it supports a bias that the markets are going to pull back. So, you want to be aware of that, because breakouts tend to fail and you start to get more type of failure patterns, long failure patterns in a scenario like that. Why this is going up, I'm not sure, because it's tied to short-term interest rates. And looking here, 13-week has been trending down, was up a little bit, but kind of flattish and doing nothing. And it hasn't even reached the support yet. You can see the upper right-hand chart. It hasn't reached down here yet. So if the markets are going to have a last hurrah, what this needs to do is, this to move down, and, interest rates have a little more blip down into that major support area. And then, we'll see what happens. But right now, no matter where we look, the message is, day trading, some credit spreads, sit on your hands. It's kind of like, after Thanksgiving, everybody took a long holiday, kind of. So, like I say, it is what it is. Semiconductors chopping around, pulling back to minor support. Up day yesterday. And, AMD was kind of a surprise with, the news on that, and had its monster day, which I think was a big effect on, the NASDAQ holding up and probably the broader markets. And, so now, where is it as well? It gapped up and it's coming back down. But, this was pulling back, and, news got it whipped right back up again. So Bitcoin, consolidating its gains. It's getting closer to that 50, or it is close to that 50,000. I don't, the pivot highs are below 50,000, but, this is kind of stalled, which it should be after a move like that. So nothing going on there. And last thing I'm going to look at, well, I could look at, uh, you can see gold isn't doing anything. It's actually down quite a bit, but gasoline is pulling back. Looks like it can come in a little bit. So that's a good thing. None of us like to pay for gas. We need it, but we don't like to pay for it. And you can see silver just having a big old pullback there. So kind of crazy moves, strength just falling all the way apart again. And we saw that kind of intraday yesterday. I was talking about, um, the markets here. As the S&Ps got up to this resistance area, and I was talking about, okay, this retest is where it should start to pull back, and it collapses. And I talked about it in the room. It's like, okay, now will it go sideways there and drop again, or can it rebuild and go up? And it just turned on a dime and ripped right back up to the top again. And that's not typical historically. That's not typical price action. But as I said, this market is kind of pretty whippy and wild intraday. But from the daily perspective, as you can see, it's just going nowhere. So, keep your expectations in alignment and as to what is. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Happy Zero DTE Day. As always, we'll be looking for credit spreads on patterns with juice to sell options that expire today, 4 p.m. I posted diamonds as an idea because this has the biggest void and it was the weakest closed yesterday. Whipping around pre-market on those employment numbers, but gapping down a little bit. So this is actually ideal for a 30-minute low. Now let's go to earnings here. See anything of interest. I'm open. I don't have any alarms going off on opens. I had a tan alarm. Oh, look at tan alarm. That's what I had an alarm at here somewhere, and that's what set it off. But it looks like it was a bad print or something. All right, earnings. Daku, 46 bucks. I have no idea. Maybe zero DT call spread. That's a nasty gap. Wow. That is one nasty gap. So I'm gonna watch it just to see where buyers, if they want to step up. So 30-minute highs of zero DTE put spread idea. Here's our Abgo. You know what? I said yesterday, if this opens relatively flat, I like it. So this is a great 30-minute high candidate. I'm going to put that in a window. And day trade long or swing long. I mean, that's a deep retracement. It's a buy setup. And the turn is a 180, near the 50 with a void. So when we have deep retracement, we just don't expect a new high. But if target 20 MA would be a heck of a move. Lulu gapping down 450. This would be a great call spread candidate. Zero DTE, putting that in a window. SMAR was up, now flat. I'll keep an eye on it. It's overall bullish, daily, weekly, monthly. So we'll come back to it. Papa Lima, opening flat, piece of junk. No gap, we'll come back. Suave. That's a nasty gap breakdown. Wow. I think I said yesterday this would have been a great long if it gapped over yesterday's high. Because then we got a bull rectangle on the weekly. We have a breakout on the monthly, but we just have an idea in our head saying, hey, if it does this, if X, then Y. Well, it ain't happening. So don't worry about it. Restoration Warehouse 255. Range bound sell setup on the weekly, no pattern yet, but I put it here in the middle chart. Now this is another one I set up at open flat. It would have been a good long. I see one print down here, but I don't trust it. But it's a massive bull rectangle, bull flag, daily, weekly. Mountain, no print, I'll come back, curve. Um, that's that's an excessive gap. I'm not doing anything with it. Crisp. Somebody said yesterday in the green room that this had some pending news overnight, or maybe it's during the day today. I don't know. It's a bio though, but it is a bullish daily, weekly, monthly today during the day. All right, I got a miscellaneous list here from Orly. We said as a call spread idea. WSR, nice 1, 2, 3, 4, bullish daily, weekly, monthly. Let me set an alarm. All right, yeah, I have an alarm at 11:48, I think, or 47. This one needs to consolidate another day or two, but then it's a bullish daily, weekly, monthly. Look at this double bottom on the monthly. Beautiful. It's textbook W bottom on the monthly. Time, and I just posted this next one, FIBK. These were a couple on Sam's list. I like this one a tad better because it's a closing breakout over yesterday's tail. Bullish 15, bullish daily, another W bottom monthly. So that looks fantastic. All right, actually, let me just type these out real quick. Amazon, AXC. Yeah, that's the wrong symbol. I couldn't read it. Axon. Axon. Actually, you've heard me say many times that I think we're going to need the market dump on a lot of these patterns. I think this is one of them, but it is bullish, daily, weekly, monthly. No question about that. Same with that. I just don't want to get caught and think. I don't like new trades now with the internals with monster price flow because these are the ones susceptible to breakout failures. And you can see on the 15, it's light volume also. So TDG, I'm going to delete because of the environment. Amazon, it's strong, just set an alarm. It's down here pre-market with the Qs, so I don't think it's going to trigger, but set an alarm. This one I like. I like the red bar ignored, and notice actually how this one is closer to the 20 and closer to a pivot low than TDG. See the difference? So in terms of a new trade, I like this one better. Dash also you got two red bars ignored. So this is kind of like a bear sandwich with double meat. Closing breakout. Yeah, old Dash looks good. The Dash is a reindeer, right, Dodge? Oh no, my bad. That's Dasher. Dasher was a reindeer. I'm gonna set an alarm at 99:35. I always set alarms early. Gobi. It's another one that can fail. So, because you got a void under here. This actually that is negating the gap down could be a 0 DTE put spread. A knock is a posted trade over yesterday's high. Continuation breakout, and if it triggers, red bar ignored. And car, I don't know if this is earnings or not, but that's an igniting gap breakout. Problem is the gap's too big. I have it here in the bottom right. I was just looking at some hotels with the leisure industry. and Marriott, Hilton are both put spread ideas, but same problem. If it fails, has room to fall. China's been beat up in the last couple of weeks, this week in particular with the downgrade, obviously. And I see Agco here perking a little bit more into the market open. Just broke out a pre-market there. I don't know what's up with Roblox. Roblox, nice pre-market action, but no pattern. Soar? What? Crazy moves. This is 100% the footprint of a SPAC. I didn't know they were still playing with SPACs. I remember we used to have SPACs coming out during COVID, like every other day, a new SPAC. And they all look the same. They flatline at $10, and I think people are just buying a shell company to go public. Is all a SPAC is. Special, what do they call it? Special purpose acquisition company, SPAC. It's a shell with a fancy name. But what a crazy up and down move. Now it's up 740. You might get a day trade if this will stabilize and give you a 15-minute buy setup. Who range bound after breaking out. Some closing breakout. I would like it better without this bar here, but it's a closing breakout, so I think it should go through that. Maybe target high 36s. ELME. Oh, I posted this as a long ELME. It's a buy setup after bottoming pattern. 1, 2, 3 weekly. ADI put spread possible. MTB I posted as a put spread, yesterday's high. EPAM, it's bullish daily, weekly, monthly. I guess we should have had a bigger void. A void means look to the left and there's insignificant resistance. And so this would be a good put spread idea if there's any juice at the 250 Hilton alarm. Anything with it then? All right, JCI, we're in trail mode. Got an up alarm here, very nice. Let's move stop now under this pivot, 55.18, JCI. I'm showing the whole screen, I just noticed. JCI. This has been a nice slow mover. Yeah, earnings next week though, so we're gonna have to bail by then. Alarm. Oh, here, my bad on the target. All right, that target was yesterday. Let's just, all right, hold on. So because we gapped over our target. The 1/3 at 56.10. All right, here's the new adjustment. SWK alarm. All right, let's move stop 5-minute low 92.7.